Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. Burlington, and thank you for tuning in again to this, I think, is our 73rd edition of Burlington and Beyond. We have a very special show for you tonight. We have a gentleman here that I think, or at least I personally have had many people ask me about what's happening with the 19 and a half site. And I am thrilled to have not only my co-host Larry Way here, but especially our guest, Mr. Kevin Duffy, who is one of the principals involved in the development of this. I don't know if the camera can pan. I'm sure you will be on it now, but you have to see this. You people of Burlington, you have to see this. This is absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait for Mr. Duffy to come back when it's all done to tell us exactly what is there. You got some. It's a beautiful scene. It really is in the middle of, at least in the middle of this section of Burlington. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for coming to Burlington. And if we could just get the name.
Sure.
Let's rename this from Building 19 and a half to, what are we going to call it now?
Okay, we've decided to call the retail component of the project the shops at Simons Park, and the residential portion will be known as the residences at Simons Park.
Shop at Simons Park. That's much nicer
With
name.
2 P's.
Okay.
With two
Thanks.
P's.
2
Okay.
P's. Shops.
Yep. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been involved with the business? Perhaps another one of your properties? I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever you can share with us would
Okay.
be.
Sure. I am the managing director of a second generation family-owned real estate. We're family-owned, family managed, family operated. We have a great team of long-standing, dedicated employees. But we've been in business for about 50 years. Headquartered in Waltham. Conduct most of our business up and down 128. Primarily focused on the commercial side, but we also do a fair amount of multifamily residential development. Number of projects we've completed. One that a lot of people in Burlington might know is about 3 or 4 years ago we finished a condominium complex in Winchester known as Greystone in Winchester.
Oh yeah.
Directly across from the Mahoney's farm stand.
Yep.
Very
Oh, yeah.
successful project. So
Yeah.
we enjoyed both commercial as well as residential.
So you're well versed in building, and well, you can see it in this. Can you estimate how far along you are? I mean, I go up and down, and a lot of workmen, a lot of cranes, a lot of activity, and I do see signs of buildings going up. We in the, I don't know, within the first 10, 20% of the project?
Yeah, probably within that. That's a good estimate. As you know, we started demolition in February, completed demolition the latter part of, I guess it was late March, early April. Attempted to get started on the project, the earthwork side of the project, and had a rather wet spring and early summer, which impacted our schedule a little bit. But people that are driving by the site know that we've pretty much started work on the residential building, which is the building furthest to the north. We're now focused on the retail building towards the back of the site, and the last building to start will be the one directly along Cambridge Street.
Yeah, that back site, well, with all of the piles of fill that they have there, you can't see that activity in the back, but it's exciting. It really is. And I personally, as I said, I've had a lot of people ask me exactly, what's happening, when are you going to find out? So they're looking at you. You're looking down the road about a year, a little more than a year, approximately, for the project to be finished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we hope to deliver the residential piece, which is 29 units, in the summer of next year, hopefully the earlier part of the summer. And then the retail, I anticipate having ready for tenant fit-ups, if you will, towards the latter part of 2018. So with any luck, we may see some shops come live there late 2018, potentially early 2019.
Now, how did this property come to your attention? That it was something that could be purchased and redeveloped?
A broker brought it to our company's attention as part of a package. And most people know the Building 19 chain underwent some financial difficulties, and I think eventually went bankrupt. So they had a number of sites throughout eastern Massachusetts. So we were looking at sites in Norwood, sites in Natick, and this site. And this was the one we were most excited about, and this is the one we went after the hardest.
Okay, interesting. And you used to shop at 19 and a half yourself?
I did. I have memories of purchasing various types of sporting equipment there in a much younger age.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So we'll both miss it.
We will. Well, in some ways.
Can you go into some of the other shops or establishments, such types of establishments you're trying to attract to the property?
Sure. The anchor, if you will most likely be a restaurant right at the main entrance where the outdoor seating is. So we're actively talking with a couple of different restaurants.
You want to point to that again? They just put it up on screen.
Sure. The restaurant is planned on this end of this building right here, which is really right at the main intersection as you come into the project.
While we have it on the screen, could you just point to the roadways and say what those roads are?
Sure. Cambridge Street is at the very bottom of your screen.
Can we show that?
And
Yeah, they can see it.
what you're looking at right here is
They can't see the other road.
driveway coming in, what will hopefully be from a futurized signalized intersection. It'll be a single lane coming in, and then with 2 lanes exiting the project.
And on the far left corner, can we show the far left corner of the painting? And keep going, keep going. Okay, now we're beginning to see that other roadway.
Right.
And
Yep.
is that
And
the Cambridge
almost
Street?
a little bit deeper in the, you can see the residential
Right.
building.
Yeah. Cambridge.
Okay.
Cambridge Street is at the very bottom left-hand corner of the picture as we're looking at it.
And there's a proposal in front of town meeting to expand that to 4 lanes right now.
There's 2 town meeting, 2 warrant articles that require favorable action from town meeting to authorize the town to convey or donate a small amount of land to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which will allow us to widen Cambridge Street adequately to accommodate 2 lanes in each direction. Pretty much
And there
along
will
the
be lights there.
there will be, as part of that permitting package, it will be a signalized intersection at the end of this driveway where it intersects
Okay.
Cambridge Street.
Yeah.
Will there be a second egress?
Um,
Where would that be?
There will not be a second egress. There'll be an emergency egress only.
Okay.
But that's the only second egress from this project.
Where would that be?
That right now is planned. You can't really see it on this picture, but where Center Street kind of dead ends into this driveway.
Okay,
Yeah.
by the bank, I think
Correct.
it's Bank of America.
Right.
Bank
There'll be
of
a connection
America,
there that,
yeah.
if necessary, fire, police, ambulance will be able to get into the project.
And they won't have too far to drive either, will they?
They won't. Right down Center Street.
These banks, and I'm sure you know them, there's 3 or 4 in a row, I'm sure are ecstatic, and that includes the Rockland, which happens to be my own bank, are very pleased that you're going to be here because you're bringing a lot of potential business for them. And I'm sure that there's going to be some interesting wars with regard to attracting customers from the, especially the residential section, and business in general. Even the restaurants, every one of them has to have an account somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of good potential that you're bringing in here. This vies, in my eyes, it vies to a great extent with what's going on the other end of town, the commercial end of Burlington. And I think it's good. I think it's terrific. I can't wait for it to be opened. I have my own home, so I'm not interested in moving in, but I'm certainly interested in using the restaurants and all of the other facilities there.
Yeah, we look forward to delivering it.
And if you open up another sub shop, that might be a good place.
No, I don't. Those days are gone. That was Burlington of a long time ago.
If somebody was interested in moving in, securing a spot now in the shops section, who would they contact, or how would they arrange for that? Or is it too early? Is it?
It's not really too early. There is signage at the site, but Key Point Partners, which is a Burlington-based commercial real estate firm, they specialize in retail. They're handling the retail component of this, and they're the best person to reach out to for information.
Okay. And who's handling the residential?
We're handling the residential directly.
Okay.
So we have been contacted by a number of people in the town asking for information about it. And we are keep taking names, keeping that information, so when the project's ready, we'll be reaching out to them.
So if it's going to be ready potentially by next summer, then it's really not too early to look for
Nope.
that type of residence.
Right.
Could you explain the type of residence? Is it elaborate? Is it high end?
It'll be on the high end side. It's planned as an apartment community, so it'll be a rental product. It's mostly 2 bedrooms. There are some ones. They vary in size from about 800 square feet in the 1 bedroom all the way up to, I think, in the 2,200 square feet for a 2 bedroom unit. So they're a nice unit. Parking beneath the building.
Very sizable units then.
Right. Parking beneath the building is very popular, especially with some older people who want to keep, it's an elevator service building, so they can drive into their parking space, access the elevator, and take it directly up to their floor.
Great.
What do you hope to, in this building, you mentioned the possibility of you're looking for a restaurant, or you're assuming that there's going to be a restaurant there. The rest of the building is going to be completely commercial, shops of one kind or another.
Shops, it could be, you mentioned banks earlier. There's been some interest
Your
from
own
banks.
bank in there, yep.
There's been some interest from quasi-medical, if you will. A lot of health and wellness. Typical shops that you'd expect to occupy, some specialty shops. But again, we're at the very early stages, the kind of the proposal stages back and forth.
Yeah.
One of my questions about the town, of course, I don't control it. I think a couple of the committees in town do. It seems like there's quite a few small little banks moving in. Such it looks like we're a banking town.
Okay.
Could that potentially happen here? We could just get too many banks in here, or are we going to be reaching out to other types of establishments?
Oh no, we're reaching out to other types of establishments, but it's kind of a natural. You've got 2 banks to the south side and 1 to the north. There's a natural, attraction for a competitor to come in and want to take a piece of that business. So,
Right, I think you're actually surrounded by about 5 banks
right.
within 100 yards or
Right.
so.
Can we, we've already halfway. Can we have a look at unless you have another question?
I was going to ask about that too. Since we
if
pointed
we
out
can-
the streets, if we could look at the other
Yeah,
map.
if we can look at the other one.
Let's see if I can do this without getting up.
Good job. Okay, we saw some things that were sort of like that last night, same thing, but I think I'm going to let you explain what exactly the colors and point out Cambridge Street and where the entrance and exit is going to be, where
Okay.
the lights will be, et cetera, if you can.
Okay. Some of that may be hard to do on this plan, and I didn't bring one of the exhibits that I think you saw last night, which showed a lot of the crosswalks and
Yeah.
the signal locations and things like that. But a little history here is we went through a fairly extensive permitting process with the town of Burlington. And when the site plan decision was finally issued and we went back and forth with the planning board, there was a very clear desire amongst planning board members and other department members in town that they would prefer a signalized driveway intersection here. So as part of the decision and the agreement, we agreed to go forward and fund both the design as well as the construction of improvements along this section of Cambridge Street if Mass DOT was acceptable to basically our permit application. So the permit application for these improvements was submitted about 2 weeks ago to Massachusetts Department of Transportation, who control this portion of Cambridge
Sure.
Street. So when our engineering firm started the design, they were looking at pretty much what it would take to basically accommodate 2 lanes of traffic in each direction on Cambridge Street. And in order to do that, it was required that the Cambridge Street right-of-way be widened.
Okay.
And with Simons Park to the west, the only real alternative was to widen, take property to the east of Cambridge Street in order to accommodate basically 2 lanes each way, as well as some of the new requirements DOT has, which I think also include a 4-foot shoulder for a bike path or a bike lane.
Oh.
So there's a need to take land, and
Where did that land come from, if you happen to know?
where did it come from?
Right, so the state has taken it, or it's being given to the state.
It would need to be voluntarily given to the state. The state's not taking it.
Okay,
So
just as part of the project, so I apologize for the
Right.
wording, but, so where is it coming from? Does the town currently own this land? Or is it your property,
it's kind of
the
colored.
shops at the,
Yeah, it's kind of colored coded here, if you will. It starts down at Olympian Way to the south and extends at least to the northerly edge of our property, and maybe then some down towards Forbes Avenue. So in order to accommodate the widening, there's a need to take or acquire additional land from both the town and from private property owner, being us. So the land that needs to be donated by the town is shown in the very light color beige in the corner, which is a portion of Olympian Way. The beige color here, the green, and then the blue. And the blue is what's being what would need to be taken from our property. So it's some town-owned land and some private-owned land that would have to be given to the state in order to accommodate that new design.
There's some give all around
Right.
to make it work.
Right.
and then we're planning to hook Center Street up, right up to Cambridge Street,
No,
if I'm
no.
reading that.
Center Street, those dotted lines are really a right-of-way. That's not the actual roadway itself, it's the right-of-way.
Okay,
So Center Street will remain dead-ended.
okay,
It will not connect through.
okay, that's good clarification.
Yep.
So we would still have the same outlet on Olympia Way from Center Street.
That's
Where
correct.
is Olympian Way is down the
It's
end
way
there?
at-
Yeah, okay.
Way
Yeah.
at the beginning. So the fire station and police station, or the town hall, I should say, everything is down on that end.
Hmm.
These buildings that are shown on this plan are really the original Building 19 buildings. So
Mhm.
that's why it's a little difficult to show
Okay.
Oh.
what that new intersection would look like.
So it's a great story of accommodation all around between the town, the state, and the Duffy Corporation that will make it work, and certainly to the benefit of you folks and also for the town of Burlington. I think it's great that you all came together to be able to do that. And this town meeting is going to be voting on the acceptance of the land deal, essentially.
I think town meeting is voting on authorizing the town to convey to either Mass DOT or the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, whatever the entity is, the property, again, shown in light beige, the
Yep.
beige color, and then the green, which again would be part of, without that conveyance, the widening and the signalization
Couldn't take place,
Can't take
yeah.
place, so.
Yeah. I'm sure overhead signalization, most likely. That's because that's what they're talking about, replacing other in town. It's all
Yeah.
overhead now. It's the latest. How do you feel about it?
We think it would be very beneficial. We think it would be very beneficial for the whole corridor. We think it would be beneficial for people entering and exiting our project. We've heard a lot from people in town who would like to see more definition given to Cambridge Street. Right now, it's really not striped. There's 2 lanes each way.
Right.
This would give at least this section of Cambridge Street kind of that definition, so that there wouldn't be as much confusion for motorists traveling.
That berm that runs along the front, that's coming out. It is out, I guess, because the commercial building is going to run right up close to the.
It does run close
to the end of the property there,
Yep.
to the end of your property.
Yep.
Is going to run right. Okay.
Yeah, there'll be new concrete sidewalk that starts on our northerly property boundary and comes up the entire frontage, and we'll tie in. We'll cross this new signalized intersection, and we'll tie in with the new sidewalk that'll happen on that side as it approaches Olympian Way. So it'll landscape, new lighting.
Have you thought about anything in particular with regard to the center of that?
Of this?
No, of the whole complex.
Can we go back to the other picture?
Sure.
It's good you came to manage those pictures, Kev. Yeah,
Talking
in
about
the
here?
center there, the reason I mention that is because I've heard of cases of people, especially newlyweds, who look for a restaurant and a place where they can take pictures, with a little bit of running water and some trees and some benches and whatnot. And it does attract crowds in the spring and possibly some of the summer. In the winter, it not. But it worked, I think, in whatever that other complex is there where they have it.
Is that Wayside?
Yeah, Wayside. Seems to have worked. I've seen groups there. Anyway, it's a thought, something that you might consider when everything else is done. I think it would be very interesting.
I think this is going to be more dynamic because you have all those events happening on the concert.
Yes.
And where do you go after
Right.
that but a nice center like this?
Yeah,
Right.
you're right.
A series of specialty shops
Right.
too, right?
Yeah.
That's why we think the signals and the pedestrian crosswalk and the pedestrian, the buttons to get pedestrians from one side of Cambridge Street to the other, especially as you said, baseball games, all the events that happen either on the Common or at Simon's Park. It should be very popular.
They're about to spend a load of money to redo the entire Common electrically. I'm sure that's going to be approved on Monday night. And with that will come a lot more in terms of events and use of the Common. And as you say, you're right next door. I just like the idea of the whole thing. Just for me, it brings the top and the bottom of Burlington together in a very big way.
And I think it enhances the whole pedestrian-friendly part of it as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we worked very hard and closely with the planning board. That was something that they were really focused on in terms of the pedestrian-friendly. So we think the project is pedestrian-friendly. We think Cambridge Street now is going to become more pedestrian-friendly. It really didn't have a sidewalk at Building 19. The old Building 19 people
Right.
used to cut through the parking lot. Now there'll be a sidewalk from along our entire frontage, connecting all the way up to Olympian Way. And if we can, again, connect across Cambridge Street, it'll just make it that much better for everyone.
Would you be concerned at all about the increase in traffic on the internet, making a lot of these other malls maybe not as useful? Would you be concerned about that in this case?
Not in this case, because I think these are going to be more specialized shops. There aren't going to be big boxes here like you'd see at other much larger shopping centers. I think those are the ones that are suffering
Might be in trouble.
suffering the most, or having the to compete the most with the internet.
Well, I know one thing. As soon as it opens, I want to be at that outdoor restaurant.
Right. We think that'd be very popular.
As long as it's seasonal.
3 seasons.
When do you hope to open up the commercial or the stores at Simon's?
Again, if things go according to plan, late 2018. That's what we're telling the prospects that we're talking with now. So that's the target. Might slip over into early 2019.
We are already, okay, all right, no problem. We are already down to 3 minutes, and there's a lot more I'd like to hear. When I say that, I'm talking about, what exactly, and I know that you've indicated that you're not quite ready to tell us about the kinds of shops. The residential is pretty much set. We talked a little bit about that. I guess my question is, will you promise us that you'll come back in about a year and tell us and bring back the same plan, or if there should be one that is, that shows a little bit more detail, although I can't imagine anything better than this. I'm hoping that you will agree to come back and tell the people be able to tell the people exactly when you're having a big opening. I'm sure you will have a big opening, not only for the residential, but for the whole complex. You'll have some kind of celebration, and I'm sure you're going to draw a lot of people from Burlington there. It's a great plan. I'm really, when I think back to 19 and a half and I look at this, it's just, it's amazing. It really is. Is this the biggest thing that you people have done? In terms of, not in terms of funds or monies or anything, but in terms of involvement in, shops and residential and a big area?
No, we have other projects of similar size. We haven't done, this was really our first kind of a mixed project, mixed use project. But we have other commercial properties and residential communities that are comparable in size. So.
Sounds like old hat to you.
It's never old hat.
It's never old hat.
You never know what to expect.
Problems every single day.
You never know what to expect. Right.
You're busy, I know. It takes a while to get in touch with you, and I'm really happy that you've responded. And I sincerely mean that about coming back in about a year or whenever, and I will start the phone calling about a year from now.
Yeah, a year from now would probably be good, because by then we'll be pretty far along with commercial tenants, and we'll probably have some things to tell Burlington by then.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
And maybe we can all agree not to call this 19 and a half anymore, but it's now the Shops at Simon's Park.
Good point.
Thank you.
Good point.
Thank you.
I guess we're pretty close to, yes, we are, 20 seconds. Anything in particular you want to say to the people of Burlington?
Nope, we just look forward to delivering this product, and appreciate everything everybody's done. Everybody's been great to work with, and hopefully town meeting will support those 2 warrant articles for us that'll allow us to continue and have this thing done by late 2018.
That's
Well,
great.
That would be good to convey, that you want those 2 warrant articles voted on positively. One for the streetlight, and there's one for conveying of the land.
Yeah, I think it's Articles 11 and 12, if my memory is correct.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for this part of the program. We thank you very, very much. And as I said, he's promised he's going to come back in about a year when when it looks exactly like this, or even, if it's possible, a little bit nicer. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Okay, they're going to play some music.
Well, good evening again, everyone from Burlington. We have another special guest on our panel tonight, and this is Ann Way, brand new trustee at the library, and we're hoping to get filled in a little bit on what's happening at the library. I understand we have a new director there. So
Yes.
Ann, welcome, and congratulations on your becoming a library trustee.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Had a lot of encouragement.
You are I know personally, you're a very hard worker, and I am especially happy that you are a trustee, and I'm sure
thank
that
you.
it's something that you're really enjoying, given your background. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your background?
Oh,
with regard-
sure. Well, in 1968, July 7th, I had my first job at the East Lexington Branch Library.
Oh,
And I worked 35 hours. And I got $35, a dollar an
no.
hour.
Then,
Yes. But I had a wonderful, wonderful supervisor. She was a head librarian, Mrs. Killam. And it was just wonderful because you learned how to respect the customer and how to help the customer.
right.
And it was just a good starting point.
Mm. How did you train for it, Ian? How did you train for library, the art of being a librarian?
Well, I think Mrs. Killam had a lot to do with it because I started out as a page,
Mm-hmm.
which meant I basically put the books away
Mm-hmm.
and gradually got into helping out getting the books ready for the shelf, which was
Okay.
technical services type thing.
Yeah.
And that was another step.
Mm-hmm.
Third step was basically working nights at times, and that was till 8 o'clock back then.
It's like being right in the middle of what. There's an expression that doesn't come to mind, but being right there in the middle of the action, you learn best. Being right there,
Yes.
part of it.
On the job training, they call it.
On the job training. Okay.
Yes.
And I think we better have full disclosure that Ann is my wife. And so just a note of full disclosure here. But I was wondering if you could tell people from the town, like the other libraries that you've worked at as well,
Oh,
and
yes.
maybe what you did there.
Oh, yes. I went to college at North Adams State College, and I took a couple of library courses, storytelling courses, and things like that. My background was education, and that's what I was gearing towards. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, children's librarian, yes.
So you followed your dream.
In a way.
Mm-hmm.
In a way. I was also asked at the same time.
Okay.
I had a professor who wanted to do a bibliographical reference because they were told to, they had to get a certain area of philosophy or whatever, I don't recall, but they had to make sure that we had all the books that we needed
Okay.
and kind of beef up the
Material for
that particular background.
Yeah.
That was a very interesting project because I was looking through the National Union catalog and things like that, using that type of thing, but trying to wonder if something in German
Yeah.
would be applicable.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Wow.
So
yeah.
you had to do that type of thing.
So you're learning, you're involved, and you're learning the trade. How do you feel about the Burlington Library?
Let's if we could just continue.
Sure, go
What
ahead.
other libraries have you worked at before you
Oh,
came to Burlington?
I worked at the Cary Memorial Library, and that was interesting because at the branch library you had all kinds of, well, someone would come in and you'd know what they wanted, and you knew what kind of books they liked, and that was a lot of interesting. And Mrs. Killam, my boss, used to go to these book fairs. And one of the people that she met there was one of her favorite authors.
Oh.
And
How nice.
she said, well, I loved your last book. And he said to her, just wait until you see the next one coming out. She's a doozy. And I thought, that would be so much fun.
Would we know who that author is?
The book was Leave Her to Heaven. I don't remember the author, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I subsequently went to book fairs.
So you schooled at North Adams State.
Yes, with an
and
education
did you,
background.
Yeah, and you got your library training there?
Some
pretty
of
much.
it, yep.
Yeah, some of it.
Yes.
There was other. What else did you?
Well, I worked at the Cary Library, which was
Okay.
a different situation. I
Right.
worked in the circulation department, and that was, well, it was a different
Atmosphere.
type of atmosphere,
Yeah.
and it was a different type of situation. I couldn't, you can't talk to the clients as much, but different types of atmosphere, different type of needs.
Yeah, I would think that most libraries, they have a little bit different kind of situation, one from another, depending on who people are there and how they set up.
Well, the new director, Mike and I were talking about that the other day, and
this is Mike.
Michael Wick.
Yeah.
Okay, new director.
He's the new director, yes.
Who isn't here with us this evening, but we hope
That's-
maybe in the future.
Oh, I'm sure.
And we
Okay.
thank you for filling in for him tonight.
Okay.
You doing
Okay.
well? What are the sorts of experiences did you have that helped you, might help you manage the library as a trustee?
Well, I think that it depends on the library that you're dealing with. That's what Mike and I were talking about. You have the educational academic library, you have a business library,
Right.
and each of them have different needs and different management styles and different types of needs, and that reflects in the trustees,
Okay.
what the town wants, what the town needs.
How do you look at the makeup of the town? The trustees I'm talking about. Do you look at the makeup of the town to try and determine what material you would like to have in, or is there sort of like not common stock, but is there, books and reviews and whatnot that are pretty much you can find in any library? But how do you contour the library to the town?
Well, you have, excuse me, you have the requests of the customers, the public.
Their requests.
Their
yeah,
requests.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, we also have what's called the interlibrary loan,
Okay.
and I'm not sure exactly what they call it here, but they have a system where you can access other libraries, and they will
Oh
send
yes,
the
I've used it.
Yes.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
and that's been wonderful. That's been wonderful.
Yeah.
What sort of books are you interested in today, would you say?
Oh dear. Name it.
Don't mean to get you lost. Go ahead, name a few types of
I
books or
like-
genres.
Historical novels. I used to like Gothic novels, but historical fiction. Some of the books that I read as a kid, I like to reread.
Wow, so you love history and you also like those old-time books.
Yes.
Well, not old-time books, but
Yeah.
historical type books. Great.
Do you like to read, even, I personally enjoy it. Whenever I can pick up a book, even if I'm ready to go to bed, I'll just lie there with the light on and read. Do you find yourself doing the same thing, reading when you can?
When I can,
Yeah.
and that is not very
Not
much
very
at this
often.
point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'll pick up a book. Like I have a book in Jane Austen
Mm-hmm.
book that I'd love to get.
Love it.
Love it, yes.
Yeah. Do you like this library? I shouldn't say,
Very.
do you like this library?
I have to tell you,
Go
they
ahead.
have a lot of things going on there that I was not as aware of because I've been kind of not.
Mm-hmm.
On the outside.
I was on the outside. That's a good way to put it. And finding out what they have for adults, what they have
Yeah.
for children.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
They
yeah.
have authors' nights,
Yep.
things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just really excited when I heard all of these things that go on. And they have ways to help out the library, like the Friends of the Library.
Mm-hmm. I was amazed. I saw a sign. I was there yesterday. I have a class that I have there. I have had now for 5 or 6 years.
Uh-huh.
And I use the upstairs, one of the rooms, which is another great benefit. Those rooms are
Oh, those rooms are
terrific.
great.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
Yeah. But I noticed a sign they had at the top of the stairs that said, "Want to learn a language?" And you do it online. In other words, I think they were trying to push language learning online. That's my field, and
Is that where you learned Italian and French?
not online. No, I learned it listening to my mom, dad, my cousins yelling at me to begin with.
So none of those tapes are
And then
playing.
from there, no, actually, I wasn't even able to study Italian. I had because they didn't offer it when I was in school. So I began with French. But anyway, there are a lot of great things at this library.
Oh,
I'm sure.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. They even have Rent a Librarian.
Rent a librarian?
Yes. Someone will help you do a little bit of research.
Oh, for God's sake!
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's neat. I never even.
I'm going to
even
be
if-
checking that out.
Yeah. Michael is new. Did you
Yes.
know? I'm sure you must have met Laurie. When
Oh,
Laurie, I
yes.
can't remember her last name.
Hodgson.
Right.
Hodgson.
Hodgson. Yes. Okay. Now I remember.
Yes.
You did have a chance to meet with her because
Oh,
you
yes.
were appointed well before she left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your work as a trustee.
Well, at this point,
Mm-hmm.
the main goal was to determine the new director.
Mm-hmm.
And that took up a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And then we also had to determine there was a trustee that needed position that needed to be filled. So
How many trustees are there?
6.
Oh, there are 6 of you. Oh, wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got a chance to meet the people that work in the library as
Oh
trustee?
yes, yes. Especially, I have to give a shout out to the reference librarian.
Go ahead.
The only trouble is I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, you're new there.
Yes, I'm new. I'm new and learning.
I have known, speaking of the librarians there, that I've known, and I didn't know her name until just recently. I know Marnie. She's the, I'm not sure what her title is, but she took Suzanne's place. Suzanne,
Oh, don't remember a Suzanne.
Suzanne
unfortunately.
Sullivan. She
Oh, okay.
She left, I think, about maybe 5-6 months ago.
Mhm.
She had been there for a long time. And Marnie, you know, she's the one upstairs in the office there, I think. Marnie Smith is her name. I'm not even sure if it's that,
Okay.
but I've known her. I just didn't know her name. I used the room up there, and she was one of the ones that always opened it for me. They've always
Oh,
been
yeah.
extremely accommodating.
Yes.
Every one
Yes,
of them. Yeah.
I've noticed that myself.
Most of those
Very-
people have been there for a while.
Yes, I noticed that, and I
Mm.
think that's a
The
Good.
the ones that work the desk downstairs have been there for a long time,
oh yes, yes,
which is
they're
good.
sweethearts.
So, are you enjoying what you're doing?
Oh, very much. It's like whenever we have meetings and things like that, it's like, yes, I know what this is. I know what this is, and oh wow, they're doing this.
Well,
So it's been fun.
you've had quite a lot of library experience as well as business experience.
Yes, yes.
So I think that'd make a fine addition to running a library.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you're still getting up to speed in some of the departments and learning all the activities.
Yes.
And when I was growing up, I don't recall our library having that many activities that Burlington currently has. Would you concur?
Well, I know when I was working at the Cary Library, they had things such as that, storytelling, that type of thing. And I remember the director of the library, Robert Hilton, he brought in a cider press and made mulled apple cider.
Oh.
And just the smell of it, the reference, that's one of my memories,
Fond
good
memories.
fond memories of the library.
How is the library? What do I want to call it? How has it changed? How has
Oh.
it? I mean, what is specifically what has technology done
Oh,
to
yes, yes.
libraries?
I remember working these, like, they took photographs of the book and your library card.
Mm-hmm.
Now they just scan.
Just
I-
scan it. Yeah.
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 When I first worked at the library,
Mhm.
they had these cards like this with a metal plate
Okay.
on it,
Yeah.
and that was a Gaylord system. And that was really tough. But we're talking automation. You have computers where you can, research, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Changed a
what
lot.
it changed. Oh,
And
drastically.
continues to change. Yeah.
Yes.
Are you aware of the Friends of the Library?
Oh, very much. Very much. I've been to a couple.
What do the Friends do?
Okay, what they do is support the library. They have book sales.
Right.
They're having a book sale. And
October? I think
October.
is-
Yeah, so towards the end of
Yeah,
October.
yeah.
I'm not sure the exact date.
Mhm.
But what's happening is that they're going to have just 2 weeks where you can bring the books in. 2 days that you can bring the books in. Because it gets very tied up with space.
Are they going to announce those days? Because
Yes.
I have contributed in the past.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's what I want people to be
So
aware
they're
of.
gonna
They will be.
announce
They
two
were going
particular
to
days
announce 2.
only when you can bring in. Gee, I hope are they going to have? That's going to be tough because they have a lot of books.
Yeah, but that's a problem because there's no space to be. So what they were trying to do this year is bring in the books just those 2
In
days.
those 2 days.
Yeah,
they'll have to make sure that those days are known to the public, I think.
Oh,
Put 'em in
exactly,
the
that's what they're planning on
newspapers or
doing.
whatever.
That's still in the works, but
So if somebody wanted to volunteer their time at the library, what types of things would there be for them to do? How would you recommend that they go about that?
okay. The Friends of the Library, they have,
Do you know who they would contact?
Don, I know, I can't remember her name.
I'm still,
Okay.
If you go, I think if you go to the library and ask, they'll
Oh,
tell you.
yeah.
Or if you call them, they'll tell you. I can't remember the name of the lady.
Yes,
You probably
yes.
maybe haven't met her yet.
yes.
But that would be the way to donate your time, is through the Friends, or
Yep,
is there any
to
other
the
way?
Friends, there's, let's see, Friends of the Library they have the book sales, and they also have like raffles and things like that
Yeah,
throughout the year.
they have the baskets.
Yes, those great
sometime
baskets,
I forget
yes.
around the springtime sometime, I think.
They had
All
it-
of the companies and all of bring in baskets and they raffle them off, and they make some pretty good money.
Oh, yes.
What do they do for the library with the money they make?
Well, there's, sometimes it's set aside for specific, we just got a donation for a specific type of book
Oh,
or things like that.
hmm
And
I think one time, if I remember way back when, they used the money. They used some of the funds to buy furniture. I think
yes,
some
yes.
of the furniture
That,
upstairs.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's. I think you're. Are you happy with being there?
Oh, it feels like old home week sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes. The people are very, very nice. I'm
Yeah.
working with a lot of very, very nice people at the Friends of the Library and the library trustees.
How often do the trustees meet?
The trustees meet once a month.
Once a week?
Month.
A month. Okay. Yeah.
And are those open meetings, do you know?
Yes. I think
So
they
if
are.
people have concerns or want to make recommendations,
Right.
Yeah.
they could show
yeah.
up at a trustee meeting?
I've never seen.
That's what might be good to advertise these type of things.
Well,
How you can help out, and if you have other input, that might be the
Yeah,
meeting to go to.
contact the library if you have concerns or questions. They'll be happy to help, I'm sure.
I'd like to ask you a question about an article that I read this morning, and want to know if you know anything about it. And it said that they were celebrating banning books this week.
Yes.
Would you know what that's about? I mean, I hope
Is
hope
that
it's
at
not
this,
what.
This
Banning-
library?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's an article
No,
in B News
is-
about that.
There's,
Are they actually celebrating the fact that books are banned? I hope not. What's
I
your
don't think
opinion
so. My opinion?
of what's going on
No,
there?
no.
It's a gimmick.
I don't think so.
No?
With all the things that are going on, trying to erase the Civil War
Ah,
and banning Gone with the Wind,
yeah.
things like that.
So they're highlighting that, maybe?
Oh, things like that, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And my feeling is, no, that's part of our history. We want to get that spread out to the
Sure.
public
I agree
and
with
let
you.
people know.
Yeah.
There is apparently a display on that, so I guess we'll have to take a look at that display.
Yes, I
And,
think you should.
See if it's a advertisement for the banning a book and this is a good thing, or here's what they did and they shouldn't have.
They shouldn't have.
Maybe it's a spoof.
I'm glad to hear your opinion on that,
Yeah, they shouldn't.
because it was a little unclear in the article.
Yeah. The my only caveat to that is that some of the children's books should be the parents should know what they're reading.
They should see them first. Yeah, well, that I think is a given pretty much for
Yeah, it is.
any
but
parent should be looking over the shoulder
Yeah.
what
but
their
see
what
the
their
age
child is
appropriateness of
reading.
the.
Yeah. We're getting very close to, I don't know, did you want to? Go ahead,
Oh.
Larry, if you have
Go ahead.
30 seconds left.
Well, I think it'll be interesting. Me being on the Ways and Means Committee and the library being one of the departments that I visit. That will be some interesting conversation, be interesting investigation at the time. Looking forward to it. I think that's about all the time we have. Is there anything else that you wanted to say
Well,
to the town or about the library?
Come to the library.
yes, it's an exciting place to learn, to grow, and it's great.
Thank you ever so much for joining us.
And
and
thank you
telling
for
us about
filling
the
in
job.
and representing the library tonight. And
Okay.
thank you very much.
Okay.
Our, I don't know, I want to say condolences, but our felicitations to Michael when you see him, and tell him we will be in touch sometime in the future.
Yes.
Perhaps he would like to be able. I wasn't available tonight, evidently. Too bad, but so there's always time in the future. 3 seconds left. 3 minutes left. Oh, that's wonderful. We have 3 minutes left. That is.
Okay.
I'll tell you. You know, you were talking about. It's over.
What the heck with it?
Okay.
But-
In any
But
event,
Pete,
I was
keep
gonna-
going for 3 more minutes. Well, let's talk about town meeting next week. We'll see many of you there.
No, next week we have what's his name, Mr. Weiner coming. Not next week.
Yeah, next
no,
week's
not
town
actually.
meeting.
He's October 3rd, right? You're talking about being at the town meeting. Yes, next Monday night. Right.
Okay.
Annie, I was going to say that I remember I used to try and help. I was a member of the people.
Friends of the library, right?
Friends of the Library?
Friends of the Library.